Raeph, what got you specifically interested in Rheinmetall's internship program?
The main thing that got me interested at working at Rheinmetall is in Brisbane, they have their Milvico Centre, which is their manufacturing centre for their vehicles. So being a young mechanical engineer working on a production line where they produce military vehicles is pretty hard to come by, especially in Australia. So it's the only manufacturing facility. One of the only manufacturing facilities in Australia which has a full production line where they build it from pretty much hull all the way through to the final product to be delivered to the customer.
Can you give me a high-level walkthrough of the intern application process at Rheinmetall?
So my application process was, first obviously submitting your CV and cover letter through Grad Australia. That's where they advertise their internship. And then after that, I got sent interview, which is like an online interview where there's automated questions and you record your answer. And then from that, I got sent an email and then got invited to an assessment center. So that was a day where pretty much most of, if not all, the intern applications came in who got through and they got given actual assessment. So we got given a design task, which we had to do as a group. And then during that design task, if you were contributing too much, saying like talking too much, or for me, I was drawing too much, drawing sketches, they would challenge you by, I had to put my hands behind my back, so I wasn't allowed to draw anymore. And then other people were told they weren't allowed to speak anymore, obviously to make other people contribute more to see who like grade each other really. And you had all the managers watching you, so it was a bit stressful. And then after that, you had an one-on-one interview with senior engineers and they asked you technical questions and questions about safety and about you and yourself. And then from there, you got offered a job.
Raeph, what do you think was the hardest part of the intern application process at Rheinmetall?
The hardest part was definitely the assessment. So just getting put in a group of people you'd never met before and then get given a task to design a component or for one of their vehicles. And you only have 30 minutes to pretty much brainstorm, come up with a concept, and then have finally present it. And obviously the added challenge of taking when like they made me stop sketching, for example, or they made another group member stop talking. So when you were doing something a lot and then they were doing something a lot and you might have been contributing the most and then that got taken away, it adds stress to you because you have to use different ways of communicating your ideas for both the sake of your group and also you're also in an interview situation. So you have to show the managers and show the hiring managers that you can do both. So that was probably the most difficult part.
Raeph, what was the trickiest interview question you got asked during the intern application process at Rheinmetall and how did you handle it?
The most tricky internship question I got asked was probably, I got asked some technical questions because I had some technical experience at previous internships. So they delve into that. So they were asking about how I knew CAD softwares or what design tasks I've done and like how I contributed to that design task, whether especially in university. So they asked me a lot about my roles in group projects and how I work as a team. And obviously answering that was probably the hardest questions I got asked.
What was the number one thing that got you successfully through the intern application process at Rheinmetall?
I think the number one thing was just actually speaking up. So when we were given design tasks or the assessment center where you put in a group, it was really just contributing. They wanted to see that you weren't shy and that you could communicate your ideas clearly to other people. And that obviously follows through into an interview. So when you get asked a question, to clearly answer the question so that they understand your answer. And then obviously being an interview, you want to make sure or try to make it so that there's not lead on questions because you obviously want to answer the first question because you're stressed. So probably just clear communication throughout.
So Raeph, after getting hired into the intern program at Rheinmetall, what did your first few days in your onboarding process look like?
The first few days were like death by PowerPoint. So there was a lot of induction. So we sat through and we really learned. It was interesting because we really learned like the history of the company and the history of the program they have here in Australia, in particular like their Land 400 Phase 2 and Land 400 Phase 3 projects, which is the Boxer and the Lynx. And then after the first week of inductions, you got put into the office with all the other engineers. And I personally got given 2 projects pretty much straight away and then got an introduction to those projects by some senior engineers. And then we pretty much just started working on them. You worked on them. If you had problems, you had a really good base around you. You had good mentors. They gave you a lot of people that you could ask questions to and everyone was always happy to answer.
Raeph, can you walk me through a day in your life as an intern at Rheinmetall?
The day normally starts with going and getting coffee. So you normally come in with your team and there's an on-site cafe. So most days start with people going and getting a coffee, having a chat. And then once we get back to the office, we normally, most of the day is spent doing CAD, doing design and analysis. So you do a lot of design, a lot of analysis. And then throughout the day, you obviously have meetings about your projects to discuss with subject matter experts about different parts of your project to make sure that it can be integrated to the vehicle, right? It's in the right location, things like that. Most of the days, yeah.
Raeph, what is probably the coolest project you've worked on so far as an intern at Rheinmetall?
Being a defense company, we're not actually allowed to say specifically what we design for, but I can say that being a defense company, you actually do design some pretty cool things. So as an intern, I never thought I'd be designing the things that I currently am or being working around the things that I currently am. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very cool.
Raeph, what kind of career opportunities can an internship program at Rheinmetall lead to?
They actually just created their first organised structured grad program, which is going to lead on from this internship program. So obviously as a grad, you'll get put through different roles within the business and learn different things. So there's production, there's design engineering, and then after you finish that, you can make a decision where you want to go, whether you want to go down the management role or you want to go down the technical role. But included in that, they do love sending people to Germany. So there's a lot of opportunities to go to Germany, which Rheinmetall is headquartered at, and do a technical swap. So you learn a lot from German engineers. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with Rheinmetall and your career.
Raeph, what type of learning and development opportunities do you get access to at Rheinmetall as an intern?
So for me, I was given, and I imagine all the interns as well, were given a system of people they could go ask. So you were given a buddy, you were given a mentor, and you were given a supervisor. And that ranged from junior engineer all the way to someone who's been in the industry for 20 years. So you had this wealth of knowledge that you could ask, and everyone's willing to help, and pretty much just picking people's brains, because there's some pretty smart people that work at Rheinmetall and in defense in general. So just being able to ask questions, and no question was ever silly, and they accommodated for every single question you asked.
As an intern at Rheinmetall, do you use any kind of remote work from home or hybrid type work model?
Yeah, Rheinmetall is really flexible with that. So during my internship, my partner actually broke her leg, so I had to work from home for a bit. So they were really, really good at that. And they obviously let people work from home. They have multiple offices. It's pretty flexible when it comes to that.
Raeph, what is probably your best piece of advice for any other student wanting to nail the intern application process at Rheinmetall?
The best bit of advice is, even though it sounds typical, is just be yourself. Just show them your personality and actually have a conversation with the interviewer like you're talking to your mate. So that's probably my best piece of advice. Just being able to break down that wall, even though it's still an interview, but you can treat an interview differently. So it also reduces your stress as well.
What is probably the coolest fringe benefit you get for working as an intern at Rheinmetall?
The biggest fringe benefit at Rheinmetall is their 9-day fortnight, I believe. So every second week is a long weekend. So you can do a lot. Every second weekend, you can go out, go away, go do something. And they make it a long weekend. So everyone's laptops are shut. The office is locked. No one's allowed to work. No one expects you to do work. And I think you'd probably get in trouble if you did work. So it's pretty good having a long weekend every second week.
Raeph, what's the main reason why you would encourage other students to apply to the internship program at Rheinmetall?
The reason why I think you should work at Rheinmetall is you just get to work on such cool things. So as a young engineer, just the ability to work on cool vehicles like tanks, tracked and not tracked tanks, and just to be able to contribute to the design, because in the end of the day, the designs for those vehicles are done in Australia and almost completely by Australian engineers. So you get to really contribute to that design, and then eventually you'll probably see some of your things on that finished product when it's used.